She walked into the Strategic Operations Center carrying 2 steaming mugs of black coffee, her footsteps barely audible on the polished concrete floor. The senior officers hunched around the massive display screens didn't even acknowledge her presence. To them, she was just another junior enlisted soldier performing routine support duties. But on the central targeting display, a critical algorithm was failing catastrophically, coordinates scrambling randomly across a dozen potential strike locations, while 3 Pentagon analysts frantically attempted to isolate the malfunction that had stumped them for the past 4 hours. Private First Class Maya Chen glanced at the screen once, then again, her mathematics background immediately recognizing the computational error that had escaped detection. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly, setting down the coffee cups. "You're using the wrong differential variable in your targeting calculation." The room fell silent. Senior staff officers exchanged glances, then burst into subdued laughter at the audacity of a coffee-carrying private suggesting corrections to classified targeting systems. Until she stepped forward, made a single keystroke adjustment to the algorithm, and watched the entire system snap into perfect alignment. Bullseye accuracy across all target coordinates. Just like that, the girl they only noticed for caffeine delivery became the mathematical brain behind the mission's precision. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If you enjoy stories that blend military strategy with unexpected mathematical genius, consider subscribing for more content that explores the hidden brilliance within everyday military support roles. The Strategic Operations Center at Peterson Space Force Base occupied 14,000 square feet of underground facility space, its reinforced walls housing the most sophisticated target analysis and mission planning computers in the United States military arsenal. The facility represented the culmination of decades of advancement in computational warfare, where mathematical precision determined the success or failure of operations occurring thousands of miles away in hostile territory. Located 300 feet beneath the Colorado mountains, the complex had been designed to survive direct nuclear strikes while maintaining operational capability for global military command and control functions. The underground complex contained multiple redundant communication systems, including satellite uplinks, fiber optic networks, and quantum encrypted channels that connected Peterson to every major military installation worldwide. Massive air filtration systems maintained positive pressure within the facility, while backup power generators could sustain operations for months without external electrical supply. The engineering that created this subterranean fortress represented billions of dollars in defense spending and decades of strategic planning by the nation's finest military architects. Private First Class Maya Chun descended the secured staircase carrying a thermal carafe and stack of ceramic mugs, her security clearance badge granting access to areas most personnel would never see during their entire military careers. The clearance process for access to the Strategic Operations Center had required 18 months of background investigation, including interviews with family members, college professors, and childhood neighbors. Every aspect of her life had been scrutinized by federal investigators who verified her loyalty, reliability, and discretion before granting access to some of the nation's most closely guarded military secrets. At 19 years old, she possessed a mathematics degree from MIT with specialization in computational analysis and differential equations, having graduated summa cum laude before enlisting in the Air Force to serve her country. Her undergraduate thesis on optimization algorithms for real-time data processing had been classified by the Defense Department immediately upon submission, its mathematical innovations deemed too sensitive for public academic discourse. She had scored in the 99th percentile on every military aptitude test administered during her enlistment processing, though these qualifications remained largely irrelevant to her current assignment as administrative support for the Strategic Planning Division. Her academic record at MIT had been extraordinary even by the standards of one of the world's premier technical universities. Professors had routinely assigned her advanced problems typically reserved for graduate students, and her solutions often demonstrated mathematical insights that exceeded the expectations of doctoral-level coursework. Her senior year project had involved developing computational models for the National Science Foundation that advanced the field of applied mathematics by years rather than months. The decision to enlist rather than pursue immediate graduate studies had shocked her academic advisors, who considered her one of the most promising mathematical minds of her generation. Dr. Robert Steinberg, her undergraduate advisor and a Fields Medal recipient, had personally appealed to her to reconsider military service in favor of doctoral studies at Harvard or Princeton. Her choice to serve her country rather than advance her academic career represented a sacrifice that few outside the military community could fully appreciate. Colonel Marcus Hendricks presided over the morning briefing with the authority of 26 years of military service, his weathered face reflecting the weight of decisions that affected global security operations. His experience encompassed combat tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, Pentagon assignments involving classified strategic planning, and liaison duties with intelligence agencies that operated in the shadows of international relations. His Silver Star and Bronze Star medals testified to personal courage under fire, while his strategic planning credentials reflected intellectual capability that matched his battlefield experience. The colonel's military career had begun as an infantry lieutenant leading soldiers in urban combat operations, where mathematical precision in artillery support and airstrikes meant the difference between mission success and friendly fire casualties. His evolution from tactical leadership to strategic planning had been driven by recognition that modern warfare required intellectual sophistication that matched traditional military virtues of courage and leadership. Around the central conference table sat representatives from the Pentagon, CIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, and Special Operations Command, each bringing specialized expertise to the complex targeting problem that had defied solution for the past 18 hours. The assembled group represented the pinnacle of American intelligence and military planning capability, with collective experience spanning decades of global operations across multiple theaters of conflict. Dr. Elizabeth Warren, the senior Defense Department mathematician, possessed 15 years of experience in computational targeting systems and held security clearances that granted access to the nation's most sensitive mathematical research. Her doctoral dissertation at Stanford had focused on optimization algorithms for military applications, and she had spent her career developing mathematical models that enhanced the precision and effectiveness of American military operations worldwide. Her published research, heavily redacted for security purposes, had advanced the field of computational warfare and earned recognition from the National Academy of Sciences. Dr. Warren's team of mathematicians and computer scientists represented the finest technical talent available to the Defense Department, recruited from leading universities and technology companies through competitive programs that offered exceptional compensation and the opportunity to apply cutting-edge mathematics to problems of national security. Their work remained largely invisible to the public, but their computational innovations had revolutionized military precision and effectiveness over the past decade. Major Robert Hayes, the operations planning officer responsible for mission execution, possessed extensive experience translating mathematical calculations into operational reality. His understanding bridged the gap between theoretical precision and practical military operations, where computational accuracy translated directly into mission success or failure. His role required balancing mathematical optimization with operational constraints that included weather, enemy activity, and political considerations that affected targeting decisions. The Major's background included combat tours as a company commander in Afghanistan, where he had personally experienced the life-and-death importance of accurate targeting calculations. His soldiers had depended on mathematical precision to deliver artillery support and airstrikes that protected friendly forces while eliminating enemy threats. The transition from tactical operations to strategic planning had enhanced his appreciation for the mathematical foundations that supported modern military effectiveness. Colonel, we've run comprehensive diagnostics on all hardware components, verified satellite positioning data against multiple independent sources, and cross-checked our mathematical models against established parameters, Dr. Warren reported, her voice carrying the strain of professional failure that threatened her reputation as one of the nation's foremost experts in computational warfare. The targeting algorithm should be generating stable coordinates within acceptable parameters, but we're observing random drift patterns that make no computational sense from a mathematical perspective. The targeting solution varied by several hundred meters with each calculation cycle, creating uncertainty that was completely unacceptable for precision strikes in urban environments where civilian casualties could create international incidents. The mathematical instability threatened not only immediate operational objectives, but also broader strategic goals that depended on American military precision and reliability. The current crisis represented more than technical difficulties. It threatened operational objectives that had been months in planning and could not be postponed without significant strategic consequences. Intelligence assets had been positioned, allied forces had been coordinated, and political approvals had been secured for operations that depended entirely on mathematical precision that seemed to be eluding the most sophisticated targeting systems in the American arsenal. "Sir, the operational window for this mission closes in 36 hours, Major Hayes explained, his voice carrying the tension of someone balancing mission success against potential catastrophic consequences. "If we cannot stabilize these targeting coordinates, we will be forced to abort the operation or accept unacceptable risks of collateral damage." The targets are located in densely populated urban areas where precision is absolutely critical to avoid civilian casualties that could undermine broader strategic objectives. The mission parameters required surgical strikes against 3 high-value targets within a 48-hour window, with coordinate accuracy measured in meters rather than the hundreds of meters currently being generated by the malfunctioning system. The difference between operational success and strategic failure depended entirely on mathematical precision that had been taken for granted until the current crisis exposed vulnerabilities in systems previously considered infallible. The 3 targets represented months of intelligence development and operational planning, with each location carefully selected to maximize strategic impact while minimizing risks to civilian populations. The intelligence supporting target selection had been gathered through human assets, electronic surveillance, and satellite reconnaissance that required extraordinary coordination across multiple agencies and allied nations. Chun quietly entered the briefing room, moving along the perimeter walls to avoid disrupting the technical discussion while she prepared to serve coffee to the assembled officers. Her mathematics background, developed through 4 years of intensive study at one of the nation's premier technical universities, automatically processed the targeting equations displayed on the screens, though she understood that offering unsolicited technical advice would violate every protocol governing enlisted personnel interaction with senior officers. Her academic training had included extensive coursework in optimization algorithms, differential equations, and computational modeling that directly applied to the problems being discussed. During her undergraduate studies, she had worked on similar mathematical challenges as research projects, developing innovative solutions that had impressed professors and earned recognition from the National Science Foundation. The equations displayed on the briefing room screens represented mathematical structures that Chun had studied extensively during her academic career. Her undergraduate research had focused specifically on coordinate transformation algorithms and optimization problems that bore striking similarities to the targeting calculations being discussed. She could recognize the mathematical principles involved and identify potential sources of computational error with the same intuitive clarity that had made her a standout student at MIT. The targeting system represented the culmination of decades of advancement in military precision guidance technology, combining satellite positioning data, atmospheric modeling, real-time intelligence feeds, and mathematical algorithms to generate strike coordinates accurate within meters across intercontinental distances. The system's failure threatened not only the immediate mission but also broader operational plans that depended on its reliability for future engagements throughout multiple theaters of operation. The computational complexity involved processing data from dozens of satellites, atmospheric sensors, and intelligence sources to generate targeting solutions that accounted for variables including weather conditions, target movement, and environmental factors that could affect weapon accuracy. The mathematical models incorporated lessons learned from thousands of previous operations and theoretical advances developed by the nation's finest technical minds. "Let's review the core algorithm architecture one more time," Dr. Warren suggested, manipulating the display to show the complex mathematical equations underlying the targeting calculations. "We're utilizing standard geodetic transformations, atmospheric compensation factors, and target motion prediction models that have been extensively validated through operational testing. Everything appears mathematically sound from a theoretical perspective, but the output coordinates continue to drift beyond acceptable operational parameters. The equations displayed on the screen represented months of development work by teams of mathematicians and engineers, incorporating lessons learned from previous operations and theoretical advances in computational targeting. Each variable and coefficient had been carefully calibrated through extensive testing and validation procedures designed to ensure optimal performance under diverse operational conditions. The mathematical foundation of the targeting system had been developed by some of the nation's most brilliant technical minds, including Nobel laureates and Fields Medal recipients who had contributed their expertise to enhance American military capabilities. The theoretical soundness of the approach had been verified through peer review processes that involved the finest mathematicians and computer scientists available to the Defense Department. Captain Sarah Mitchell, the intelligence analyst responsible for target identification and verification, approached the display with growing concern. Dr. Warren, could the coordinate drift be related to our terrain modeling algorithms? These targets are located in mountainous regions where significant elevation changes could affect trajectory calculations and require additional mathematical compensation. Her suggestion reflected the systematic approach that characterized professional military problem-solving, examining each component of the system for potential sources of computational error. The terrain modeling component of the targeting system incorporated satellite imagery, topographical data, and real-time environmental monitoring to account for geographic factors that could affect weapon accuracy. The mathematical complexity of terrain compensation required advanced algorithms that processed three-dimensional geographic data and converted it into targeting corrections measured in centimeters. Shin positioned herself near the coffee service area, her eyes inadvertently drawn to the mathematical equations displayed on the main screen. Her academic background in differential calculus and computational mathematics immediately identified an error that had escaped the attention of the military's technical experts, though she understood that pointing out such an error would require violating established protocol regarding enlisted personnel participation in officer briefings. The error was subtle but fundamental, involving the improper application of a differential operator in a coordinate transformation that was causing cumulative errors to propagate through the entire calculation cycle. To Chin's mathematically trained eye, the mistake was glaring, equivalent to using the wrong formula in a calculus problem and wondering why the solution kept changing with each iteration. Her undergraduate training at MIT had included extensive work with exactly the type of coordinate transformations being discussed in the briefing. Professor Maria Santos, her differential equations instructor and a leading expert in computational mathematics, had assigned similar problems as routine homework exercises. The mathematical principles involved were fundamental to advanced calculus and computational analysis, subjects that Chun had mastered years earlier. The specific error involved confusing x and y coordinates in a partial differential equation, a mistake that would be immediately obvious to any graduate student in mathematics, but might escape detection by engineers focused on hardware diagnostics rather than fundamental mathematical principles. The error was propagating through the system because the incorrect differential operator was being applied iteratively, causing small errors to accumulate into the large coordinate drift that was threatening the mission. Dr. Warren manipulated the targeting display, highlighting different components of the mathematical model in a systematic search for the source of computational instability. Captain Mitchell, we verified terrain elevation data against 3 independent sources, including NASA satellite imagery and Defense Mapping Agency topographical databases. The problem appears to be in the fundamental coordinate transformation algorithms rather than environmental compensation factors. Her admission that the problem lay in fundamental mathematics rather than environmental factors suggested that the error was more serious than initially suspected. Environmental factors could be easily adjusted or compensated, but mathematical errors in coordinate transformations required changes to the core algorithms that formed the foundation of the entire targeting system. The systematic approach being employed by Dr. Warren's team was methodologically sound, but was examining the wrong mathematical components. Their focus on environmental factors and hardware diagnostics was missing the fundamental algebraic error that Chin could identify immediately through visual inspection of the displayed equations. Major Hayes checked his watch with obvious anxiety, his concern reflecting the operational pressures that demanded immediate solutions to critical problems. Dr. Warren, we need a computational solution within the next 6 hours to maintain our operational timeline. The mission window cannot be extended, and we cannot proceed with coordinate drift of this magnitude without accepting unacceptable risks of operational failure and potential civilian casualties. The time pressure added urgency to the mathematical problem-solving that was already complicated by the high-stakes nature of the operation. Military operations required solutions within compressed time frames that often conflicted with the methodical approach preferred by academic mathematicians accustomed to extended research timelines. Lieutenant Colonel James Morrison, the senior intelligence officer responsible for target validation, approached the display with growing frustration that reflected months of intelligence preparation threatened by technical failure. The intelligence supporting this operation required months of development through human assets, electronic surveillance, and satellite reconnaissance. These targets represent time-sensitive opportunities that may not be available if we're forced to delay operations beyond the current window. His perspective emphasized the intelligence costs of operational delay, where missed opportunities could require months or years to recreate. The human intelligence assets who had provided targeting information had risked their lives to gather the data, and satellite reconnaissance windows were limited by orbital mechanics that could not be easily adjusted for operational convenience. The intelligence preparation for the current operation had involved coordination across multiple agencies, including the CIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, and allied intelligence services that had contributed specialized expertise and resources. The complexity of modern intelligence operations meant that delays could disrupt carefully orchestrated plans that extended far beyond immediate targeting requirements. Chun continued her coffee service duties, moving quietly around the perimeter of the briefing room while listening to the technical discussion with growing frustration. Her mathematical training made the conversation intellectually fascinating, even as military protocol prevented her from participating in problem-solving that clearly fell within her area of specialized expertise. The targeting problem represented exactly the type of computational challenge that had made her academic career rewarding at MIT. The combination of differential equations, optimization algorithms, and real-time data processing embodied the practical application of mathematical theory that had drawn her to applied mathematics as an undergraduate student. Her undergraduate research had focused specifically on optimization problems similar to those being discussed in the briefing room. Professor David Kim, her research advisor and a leading expert in computational analysis, had assigned projects that required solving exactly the type of coordinate transformation problems that were currently stumping the military's technical experts. Perhaps we should consider alternative targeting methodologies, suggested Commander Rebecca Torres, the Navy liaison responsible for coordinating joint operations. We could utilize older, proven systems that might be less sophisticated but more reliable under current operational conditions. Her suggestion reflected military pragmatism that sometimes favored reliability over technological advancement when critical operations were threatened by technical failure. The suggestion to revert to older targeting systems highlighted the dilemma facing modern military operations, where technological sophistication could create vulnerabilities that simpler systems might avoid. The balance between capability and reliability required careful consideration of operational requirements versus technical complexity. Dr. Warren shook her head decisively, her response reflecting professional understanding of precision requirements that had evolved significantly over previous decades. Commander, the older targeting systems lack the precision required for urban operations in densely populated areas. We need meter-level accuracy to avoid collateral damage that could create international incidents and undermine broader strategic objectives. The precision requirements for modern military operations have been driven by political considerations that demanded minimal civilian casualties and technological capabilities that made such precision theoretically achievable. The gap between theoretical capability and operational reality represented the essence of the current crisis threatening the mission. The evolution of military precision had transformed warfare from area targeting to surgical strikes that could eliminate specific threats while leaving surrounding civilian infrastructure intact. This transformation required mathematical precision that pushed computational systems to their limits and created vulnerabilities that could be exploited by technical failures. Colonel Hendricks studied the assembled group with the calculating expression that had made him effective in strategic planning roles throughout his military career. Ladies and gentlemen, we need creative solutions that transcend conventional approaches. I want every possible methodology explored, regardless of how unconventional it might seem. His directive opened the door for innovative thinking that might transcend normal procedural limitations and organizational hierarchy. The colonel's leadership approach reflected experience gained through decades of military operations, where successful commanders learned to recognize talent and capability regardless of its source. His willingness to consider unconventional solutions had enabled previous successes in complex operational environments where traditional approaches had proven inadequate. Shin finished distributing coffee to the assembled officers and began collecting empty cups from previous meetings, her movements designed to be as unobtrusive as possible while maintaining her presence in the briefing room. Her proximity to the technical discussion allowed her to follow the problem-solving efforts while remaining officially invisible to the decision-making process. The mathematical error became increasingly obvious to her as the discussion continued, like watching someone repeatedly make the same arithmetic mistake while claiming the calculator was broken. Her academic training had included extensive work with exactly the type of coordinate transformations being discussed, and she could identify the specific computational step where the error was being introduced. The error was located in line 247 of the coordinate transformation algorithm, where a partial differential equation was using the wrong variable in its mathematical formulation. The mistake was causing coordinate rotations to accumulate errors through each iteration of the calculation, creating the random drift that was threatening the mission. What if we completely recalibrate the entire targeting system from fundamental mathematical principles? Suggested Major Patricia Williams, the operations research analyst responsible for computational modeling. We could rebuild the algorithm using alternative mathematical approaches that might be more stable under current operational conditions. Her proposal represented a comprehensive solution that would require significant time and resources to implement effectively. Rebuilding targeting algorithms from scratch involved months of mathematical development, extensive testing, and validation procedures that could not be compressed into the hours available before the operational deadline. Dr. Warren considered the suggestion carefully before responding, her analysis reflecting professional understanding of development timelines required for complex mathematical systems. Major Williams, rebuilding the targeting algorithm would require several weeks of development and extensive testing protocols. We don't have that luxury given current operational timelines and strategic requirements. The time constraints that limited available solutions to modifications of existing systems rather than comprehensive redesigns highlighted the challenges facing military operations in technological environments. Ideal solutions often required development timelines that exceeded operational requirements, forcing acceptance of imperfect approaches that could be implemented within available timeframes. The pressure of operational deadlines created challenging environments for mathematical problem-solving, where ideal solutions were often impossible due to time limitations and resource constraints. Military operations required working within existing capabilities rather than developing perfect solutions that might be available in academic or research environments. Shun moved closer to the main display while collecting coffee cups, her mathematical training automatically analyzing the equations and identifying the specific source of computational error with growing certainty. The problem was remarkably simple once properly understood: a misapplied differential operator that was causing coordinate transformations to accumulate errors through iterative calculations. The solution would require changing a single line of code, correcting the mathematical formulation to properly handle the coordinate transformation. The fix was so straightforward that it would take less than 5 minutes to implement and test, but suggesting the correction would require her to violate military protocol by offering unsolicited technical advice to senior officers. Her frustration grew as she watched highly qualified mathematicians and engineers pursuing increasingly complex solutions to what she recognized as a fundamentally simple problem. The assembly of senior officers and technical specialists was applying sophisticated analytical approaches to an error that could be corrected with undergraduate-level mathematical knowledge. Perhaps we should consider bringing in additional mathematical consultants from civilian academic institutions, proposed Captain Michael Rodriguez, the Air Force liaison responsible for technical coordination. There might be university experts who could provide fresh perspectives on this computational problem. His suggestion reflected institutional recognition that military expertise might not encompass all necessary technical capabilities for solving complex mathematical problems. The Defense Department had established relationships with leading universities specifically to access civilian academic expertise for challenging technical problems. Colonel Hendricks nodded thoughtfully, his response reflecting openness to external expertise that had characterized successful military leaders throughout history. Captain Rodriguez, initiate immediate contact with MIT, Stanford, and other premier technical universities. See if they have mathematicians available for emergency consultation on classified targeting algorithms. The irony of the situation was not lost on Chun, who represented exactly the type of mathematical expertise being sought from civilian universities, despite her current assignment to administrative support duties. Her MIT education and specialized knowledge in computational mathematics made her uniquely qualified to address the current crisis, but military hierarchy and protocol prevented recognition of her capabilities. The decision to seek external mathematical expertise highlighted institutional assumptions about where technical capability might be found, overlooking the possibility that required expertise might already be present within the military organization. Chen's situation exemplified how organizational structures could prevent recognition of talent that existed in unexpected places. Dr. Warren returned to the computational display, making systematic adjustments to various parameters in a logical search for solutions to the coordinate drift problem. I'm going to try modifying the atmospheric compensation algorithms and geodetic transformation parameters. Perhaps the error is in how we're accounting for environmental factors or coordinate system conversions. Her approach represented sound troubleshooting methodology, systematically examining each component of the targeting system for potential sources of mathematical error. The systematic approach was methodologically correct, but was examining the wrong mathematical components, missing the fundamental algebraic error that was causing the computational instability. Chun watched Dr. Warren's efforts with growing frustration, knowing that the modifications being attempted would not address the fundamental mathematical error that was causing the coordinate drift. The atmospheric compensation algorithms were functioning correctly, and the geodetic transformations were properly calibrated. The problem lay in the basic coordinate transformation mathematics that formed the foundation of the entire computational system. The technical discussion continued for another 30 minutes, with various experts proposing increasingly complex solutions to what Chen recognized as a fundamentally simple mathematical problem. The assembly of senior officers and technical specialists was applying sophisticated analytical methodologies to an error that could be corrected with basic undergraduate mathematical knowledge. The complexity of the proposed solutions reflected the institutional assumption that serious problems required sophisticated solutions, overlooking the possibility that critical errors might have simple causes that could be corrected through straightforward mathematical adjustments. The psychological tendency to seek complex explanations for system failures often prevented recognition of simple errors that could be easily corrected. "Ma'am," Chen said quietly, approaching Dr. Warren during a brief pause in the technical discussion. "I couldn't help but notice the targeting equations displayed on the screen. I have a mathematics background, and I think I might be able to identify the source of the computational problem." Her words were carefully chosen to be respectful while indicating her potential contribution to solving the crisis. She understood that her intervention represented a violation of military protocol, but she also recognized that her mathematical expertise might be critical to mission success and the safety of military personnel. Dr. Warren looked at her with surprise and barely concealed irritation that reflected institutional assumptions about technical expertise and organizational hierarchy. "I'm sorry, but this is a classified technical briefing involving sensitive targeting algorithms. Administrative personnel should not be offering opinions on computational problems beyond their designated expertise and security clearance level." Her response reflected deeply ingrained beliefs about military hierarchy and technical capability, where expertise was assumed to correlate directly with rank and official assignment rather than actual qualifications and knowledge. The possibility that a junior enlisted soldier might possess mathematical knowledge superior to senior technical staff challenged fundamental assumptions about organizational structure. With respect, ma'am, I have a mathematics degree from MIT with specialization in computational analysis and differential equations. Chen replied calmly, understanding that her credentials would be difficult to believe given her current assignment to administrative support duties. I believe there's a fundamental error in the coordinate transformation algorithm that's causing the computational instability. Her response provided specific credentials that established her mathematical qualifications while maintaining respectful military bearing. The revelation of her MIT education and specialized expertise created cognitive dissonance for officers who had assumed that administrative personnel lacked technical qualifications relevant to complex mathematical problems. The room fell silent as senior officers processed the unexpected intervention of a junior enlisted soldier in a high-level technical discussion. The combination of Chen's youthful appearance, junior rank, and current assignment to administrative duties made her claim of advanced mathematical expertise seem implausible to the assembled group of senior personnel. The silence reflected institutional shock at the violation of normal protocol and hierarchy, where junior enlisted personnel were expected to remain invisible during senior-level technical discussions. Chen's intervention challenged fundamental assumptions about where technical expertise might be found within military organizations. Colonel Hendricks studied Chen with renewed interest, his expression shifting from surprise to genuine curiosity about her technical qualifications. Private Chen, you're claiming to have identified a computational error that has escaped detection by our senior technical staff and PhD-level mathematicians? His question carried both skepticism and the possibility of genuine interest in any potential solution to the crisis threatening mission success. Yes, sir, Chen replied respectfully, maintaining military bearing while demonstrating confidence in her mathematical analysis. The error is in the application of the differential operator in the coordinate transformation matrix. You're using the wrong variable in the partial derivative calculation, which is causing cumulative errors to propagate through the entire computational system. Her explanation was precise and technically accurate, reflecting deep understanding of the mathematical principles involved in coordinate transformations and optimization algorithms. The specificity of her analysis demonstrated knowledge that exceeded general mathematical concepts and indicated familiarity with the exact type of computational problems being discussed. Dr. Warren's expression shifted from irritation to incredulity as she processed Chen's technical explanation. That's impossible. The coordinate transformation algorithms have been verified through extensive testing and peer review by the finest mathematicians available to the Defense Department. A junior enlisted soldier couldn't possibly identify mathematical errors that have escaped detection by PhD-level experts. The institutional resistance to Chen's intervention reflected deeply ingrained assumptions about military hierarchy and technical expertise. The possibility that a private first class might possess mathematical knowledge superior to senior technical staff challenged fundamental beliefs about organizational structure and capability distribution within military institutions. The resistance also reflected professional ego and institutional pride, where senior technical experts found it difficult to accept that their mathematical analysis might be flawed and that solutions might come from unexpected sources. The psychological investment in existing approaches often prevented recognition of simple errors that could be easily corrected. Ma'am, with your permission, I could demonstrate exactly where the computational error occurs and how it can be corrected, Chen offered, her voice remaining calm despite the obvious skepticism from the assembled officers. It would take less than 5 minutes to identify the problem and implement the mathematical correction. Her offer represented a practical approach to resolving the crisis while maintaining respectful military bearing. She understood that demonstrating her mathematical capabilities would be more convincing than verbal explanations, particularly given the institutional resistance to accepting her technical expertise. Colonel Hendricks made a command decision that reflected his willingness to consider unconventional solutions to critical problems threatening mission success. Dr. Warren, let her demonstrate what she's identified. We've exhausted conventional approaches, and we're running out of operational time. His directive overrode normal protocol in favor of practical problem-solving that prioritized mission success over institutional hierarchy. The colonel's decision reflected leadership experience that had taught him to recognize talent and capability regardless of its source. His willingness to suspend normal protocol demonstrated the flexibility that characterized effective military commanders faced with critical decisions under time pressure. Shin approached the computational display with Dr. Warren's reluctant permission, her movements confident despite the unprecedented nature of her participation in senior-level technical discussions. She accessed the targeting algorithm through the system interface, navigating directly to the coordinate transformation module that contained the mathematical error. Her familiarity with the computational interface surprised the assembled officers, who had assumed that administrative personnel would lack technical access and knowledge required to operate sophisticated mathematical systems. Chen's navigation of the complex software interface demonstrated technical competence that exceeded expectations for her current assignment. Here's the source of the computational problem, she explained, highlighting specific lines of code on the display screen. In line 247 of the coordinate transformation algorithm, you're applying the partial derivative with respect to the x-coordinate. But the mathematical transformation requires the derivative with respect to the y-coordinate. This error is causing the coordinate system rotation to accumulate mathematical errors through each iteration of the calculation cycle. Her explanation was precise and technically accurate, demonstrating deep understanding of the mathematical principles underlying coordinate transformations and optimization algorithms. The specificity of her analysis indicated not only general mathematical knowledge, but also familiarity with the exact computational methodologies being employed by the targeting system. Dr. Warren studied the highlighted code with growing amazement, her professional expertise allowing her to immediately recognize the validity of Chen's mathematical analysis. My God, you're absolutely correct. We've been using the wrong variable in the differential operator for coordinate transformations. How did you identify this error so quickly when our entire technical team missed it? Her question reflected genuine professional curiosity about Chen's analytical methodology and the mathematical intuition that had enabled her to spot an error that had escaped detection by experienced specialists. The admission of error also demonstrated professional integrity that prioritized mission success over personal pride. The computational error was visible in the mathematical structure displayed on the screen. Chen replied, her explanation reflecting the type of mathematical intuition that characterized exceptional analytical minds. The coordinate drift pattern indicated cumulative errors in rotational transformations, which suggested a fundamental problem with the differential operators. Once I saw the specific equations, the incorrect variable was obvious. Her explanation demonstrated the ability to recognize patterns and identify problems through visual examination of complex mathematical equations, a capability that represented exactly the type of talent that military organizations sought but often failed to recognize due to rigid assumptions about where such expertise might be found. The mathematical intuition that Chen demonstrated represented years of intensive training and natural analytical ability that enabled her to process complex information quickly and identify critical errors that might escape more methodical analysis. This capability was exactly what the Defense Department needed for computational problems, but had failed to recognize due to her current assignment. Chen made the correction with a single keystroke, changing the variable designation in the differential operator from x to y coordinates. The modification was remarkably simple, requiring no complex programming or sophisticated mathematical analysis. Merely the recognition of a basic error in coordinate transformation mathematics that had been overlooked by the original developers. The targeting system immediately recalculated all coordinates using the corrected algorithm, and the display showed stable, precise targeting solutions for all three operational objectives. The coordinate drift that had plagued the system for 18 hours disappeared instantly, replaced by the meter-level accuracy required for precision strikes in urban environments. Bullseye, Chen said quietly, stepping back from the display as the targeting system demonstrated perfect computational stability across all target coordinates. All coordinates are now stable and accurate within required operational parameters. The transformation of the targeting display was dramatic and immediate, with previously unstable coordinates locking into precise solutions that met all operational requirements. The mathematical precision that had seemed impossible to achieve was now available through Chen's simple but critical correction to the computational algorithm. The briefing room erupted in amazed conversation as senior officers processed what had just occurred. A junior enlisted soldier assigned to administrative duties had identified and corrected a computational error that had stumped the military's most experienced technical experts for 18 hours, solving a crisis that threatened critical operational objectives and strategic goals. The atmosphere in the briefing room shifted dramatically from frustrated crisis management to confident operational planning within minutes of Chen's intervention. The mathematical precision that had been the source of urgent concern was now readily available, enabling the mission to proceed according to established timelines. Dr. Warren stared at the corrected display with a mixture of professional embarrassment and genuine admiration for Chen's mathematical capabilities. Private Chen, your correction has solved a computational problem that has been consuming our technical resources and threatening mission success for the past 18 hours. This is absolutely remarkable mathematical analysis. Her acknowledgement represented recognition of exceptional capability that transcended normal military hierarchy and institutional assumptions about where technical expertise might be found. The professional respect reflected in her words indicated a fundamental shift in how Chen's capabilities would be viewed by senior technical staff. Colonel Hendricks approached Chen with obvious respect and institutional interest in understanding how such exceptional talent had remained unrecognized within the military organization. Private Chen, your intervention has prevented a significant operational failure and potentially saved this critical mission. How did you acquire the mathematical expertise to identify this computational error so quickly? His question reflected institutional curiosity about Chen's background and recognition that her capabilities represented valuable assets that should be properly utilized. The colonel's interest suggested that changes in her assignment and responsibilities might follow recognition of her technical qualifications. Sir, I graduated from MIT with a mathematics degree specializing in computational analysis and differential equations before enlisting in the Air Force, Chen explained, providing context for her exceptional performance while highlighting the military's failure to properly utilize her technical capabilities. I've been hoping for an opportunity to apply my mathematical background to support military operations and contribute to mission success. The revelation of Chen's academic credentials provided explanation for her exceptional mathematical performance while highlighting systematic problems in military personnel assignment procedures. Her assignment to administrative support represented a significant waste of technical talent that could have been contributing to critical operations throughout her military service. Her academic background at MIT included coursework and research experience that directly applied to military targeting systems and computational problems. The specialized knowledge that she had acquired through years of intensive study was exactly what the Defense Department needed for complex mathematical challenges, but had failed to recognize due to assumptions about where such expertise might be located. Major Hayes studied the corrected targeting display with renewed confidence in mission planning and operational execution. Colonel, these coordinate solutions meet all operational requirements for precision and stability. We can proceed with the scheduled mission according to established timelines. His confirmation represented the successful resolution of a crisis that had threatened strategic objectives and operational schedules. The mathematical precision that had been the source of urgent concern was now readily available, enabling complex military operations to proceed with confidence in targeting accuracy. The transformation from crisis to confidence reflected the critical importance of mathematical precision in modern military operations, where computational accuracy directly determined operational success or failure. Chen's contribution had prevented potential strategic failure while demonstrating the value of recognizing talent regardless of its institutional source. Colonel Hendricks made an immediate decision that reflected institutional recognition of exceptional talent and the need to properly utilize available capabilities. Private Chun, effective immediately, you are reassigned from administrative support to the strategic planning division as a computational analyst. Dr. Warren, I want Chin integrated into your technical team with appropriate security clearances and responsibilities. The reassignment represented acknowledgement that Chin's mathematical capabilities were too valuable to waste on administrative duties that failed to utilize her specialized expertise. Her demonstrated competence in computational analysis aligned perfectly with the technical requirements of strategic planning operations, where mathematical precision determined operational success or failure. The immediate nature of the reassignment reflected military efficiency in recognizing and utilizing talent when its value became apparent. Colonel Hendrick's decision demonstrated the leadership flexibility that enabled successful military organizations to adapt quickly to changing requirements and unexpected capabilities. Dr. Warren extended her hand to Chun with professional respect that reflected genuine appreciation for her mathematical contributions to mission success. Welcome to the Strategic Planning Division, Private Chun. I look forward to working with someone who possesses the mathematical insight to identify computational errors that escape the rest of our technical team. Her welcome represented the beginning of a professional relationship based on demonstrated capability rather than military rank or institutional assumptions. The recognition of Chin's mathematical expertise promised opportunities to contribute meaningfully to critical national security operations. The professional respect implicit in Dr. Warren's welcome reflected a fundamental shift in how Chun would be viewed within the military organization. Her transition from invisible administrative support to recognized technical expert demonstrated the potential for exceptional talent to emerge from unexpected sources when given appropriate opportunities. Within weeks of her reassignment, Chin's contributions to the Strategic Planning Division had revolutionized their approach to computational targeting and mathematical analysis. Her mathematical insights had improved the accuracy and reliability of targeting systems across multiple operational theaters, enhancing the effectiveness of military operations while reducing risks of civilian casualties. Her work included developing new algorithms for real-time targeting adjustments, optimizing computational efficiency for time-critical operations, and creating mathematical models that improve prediction accuracy for moving targets. Each contribution demonstrated the value of exceptional mathematical talent applied to practical military problems. The targeting algorithm correction that had launched her career became a case study in military technical education, demonstrating the importance of recognizing talent regardless of its institutional source and the value of diverse perspectives in solving complex computational problems. Chin's story inspired changes in personnel assignment procedures that emphasized technical qualifications over traditional military hierarchy. The case study was incorporated into training programs for senior military officers, emphasizing the importance of recognizing capability regardless of rank or assignment. The lessons learned from Chin's experience influenced personnel policies that sought to identify and utilize technical talent more effectively throughout military organizations. 6 months after her initial intervention in the targeting crisis, Second Lieutenant Maya Chun graduated from Officer Candidate School and returned to the Strategic Planning Division as a commissioned officer specializing in computational analysis and mathematical modeling. Her rapid promotion reflected institutional recognition that exceptional talent required appropriate recognition and opportunities for professional advancement. Her progression from administrative support to commissioned officer demonstrated the military's capacity for recognizing and developing talent when properly identified. The transformation also reflected institutional learning about the importance of matching capabilities with responsibilities to maximize organizational effectiveness. Today, Major Chun leads the computational analysis branch at Strategic Command, overseeing mathematical algorithms and analytical systems that support military operations worldwide. Her team of mathematicians and engineers continues to advance the precision and effectiveness of American military capabilities through innovative analytical approaches and computational methodologies. Her leadership position represents the culmination of a career that began with serving coffee and evolved into directing some of the most sophisticated mathematical analysis conducted by the Defense Department. The trajectory demonstrated how exceptional talent could transform not only individual careers, but also institutional capabilities. The organization she leads has become a model for integrating academic expertise with military requirements, attracting top mathematical talent from leading universities and technology companies. Her success has inspired similar programs throughout the Defense Department that seek to identify and develop technical capabilities that enhance national security. The girl they only noticed for coffee delivery had become the mathematical brain behind military precision, proving that extraordinary capability often exists in unexpected places within complex organizations. Sometimes the most important contributions come from people whose potential has been overlooked by conventional evaluation methods, and institutional success often depends on recognizing talent regardless of its source or initial assignment. Her story continues to inspire young mathematicians and scientists who seek to apply their technical capabilities to serve their country, demonstrating that exceptional talent will eventually be recognized and utilized when given appropriate opportunities to contribute to meaningful objectives.